I'm going to record. There we go. Thank you for whoever requested that. So there we go. So we're going to be chatting, like I said, staying out in an ocean of applicants. Now, I'd love to hear, where are most of you from? Where in the world are you joining us from? Is it mainly South Africans here tonight or today? Or where are you from? Just drop that in the comments. I'd kind of love to hear where we are, kind of what the community looks like here tonight. Chantal, proudly SA, nice. Suzanne, oh nice, from Mauritius, South Africans, Kian, Anu, Tabile. Okay, I'm gonna make a wild assumption. I think a lot of us are. Hey Peter, yeah, and we've got Nkobile from Peter Maritzburg, and then we've got Peter from Pretoria. So I'm also here in South Africa, in Pretoria itself as well. So it's good to have all of you on here. And like I said, tonight, really just want to kind of share some value, share some inspiration, and just kind of want to, hopefully, there's some just weird helicopter flying by. So hopefully the earphones aren't blocking out most of the sound. But anyway, like I said, tonight we're going to be talking about how to actually kind of put yourself out there, how to get noticed, get interviews, and get hired without like sending hundreds of ignored applications. So I'm just going to kind of, if you do comment, I'm just going to switch off my preview for now. So I'll read the comments at the end as well, as we're going to be diving through this and kind of going through this. I just want to give you as much value so you can start implementing some of this and just take what you can from this tonight. But like I said, I'm going to be we're going to be tackling something that I know is causing a lot of frustration, but it's also kind of for some of you a sense of invisibility that I kind of hear a lot of people are experiencing at the moment in the job market. And like I said, I'm just here to serve you and hope I can serve you with some inspiration to kind of show you that there's a lot more opportunities out there than you think. So I guess let's dive straight in. I mean, for those of you that don't know me, if you haven't been following me on any of the platforms, just to kind of give you a bit of an overview, this is me, Marcel. This is my wife. I'm not sure who drew on this, but I'm not sure how to get it off. But anyway, no worries. But this is my wife. It's Karen. It's Liam. So I've been working mostly for the last 6 years. So I'm South African. I've been working for US, UK, in Australia and Australian companies. And I've kind of been doing this because I've gotten to a point where I just want to have that flexibility. As you can see, I love traveling. I love nature. Just doing things and living life on my terms, or leaving a legacy on my terms. That's hence the whole concept of leaving a legacy on your terms. Now, there were some ups and downs as well throughout my journey, because the truth is, if you're struggling at the moment in terms of maybe finding remote work or finding a hybrid job or making a career change, I just want to make sure that you understand that this is it's not kind of your fault if you're struggling to land a remote job. If you've been applying and you feel like you've become completely invisible to employers, it's not your fault. And the reason is, it's because the traditional job application system, it's fundamentally broken. And I also had to learn that the hard way a couple of years ago. Like, what I mean by that is the traditional job application system, it doesn't just fail to work, it actively makes people like you maybe feel unseen and overlooked. And you'll see, we'll talk a little bit more about what the traditional job application process looks like. And like I said, today I'm just going to show you a completely counterintuitive, or a different way, or a new way, or an approach that's going to help you. And it's also, I mean, with some of the students that I've been helping, it's helped hundreds of my students land some of these interviews and offers without sending their applications into what I call like the application, or beyond that application cycle of doom, and the black hole of online submissions. So what we're going to be covering is why we are getting overlooked for remote positions, why that happens, and then the new approach, or the counterintuitive approach that's working in remote work or hybrid jobs, or just looking for a career change. And then just look at some case studies or success stories. And then I'll kind of run you through some of the steps that you can also implement in your approach to your own job search. and then also how you can become visible to the job market through the remote work breakthrough system. So first off, I think we need to kind of identify what the hell is going on for some of us. And I call this, it's almost like I call this the invisible applicant syndrome. Now, what I mean by that is, I don't know, for some of you, maybe this might sound familiar. It's like, for some of us, it's like late nights tweaking yet another resume, customizing cover letters, maybe for the 10th time. And it's almost like we're refreshing our inbox obsessively, hoping that you get one response, only to be met with like silence, or you get some of those soul-crushing automated rejection emails. And it's kind of that sense of, it's not just about the lack of responses, it's about that, and I've been there as well. It's that crushing feeling of invisibility, that sense that despite all your qualifications, maybe, or your experience, or your passion, or even your effort, you've somehow kind of become completely unseen or invisible to the job market, or kind of that's kind of the idea that's going through our minds. Because the reason for that is we sometimes see people that are less qualified candidates somehow maybe land interviews for roles that we know we can excel in. So I've been there as well. Like I said, I've had that sense of dread where I'm wondering, am I even visible to the companies out there? I mean, do they even see the value that I have? Because I know I can crush this job, or I can do well here, I can learn here, I'm coachable. And that cycle is like mentally and emotionally draining. So that's when, I guess, that's then when you start questioning your, not just, I think, your job search tactics, but also sometimes our professional worth. It's like that invisibility starts to affect how we see ourselves. Because with each kind of passing day of silence, that makes you feel transparent, more overlooked, until you begin to kind of doubt the very skills and experiences that you've worked so hard to build, or that you know you're capable of. So I think we have to understand, why is this happening when it comes to kind of that sense of invisibility, or why are we kind of being overlooked? So the first reason is, it's just about the sheer volume is overwhelming. So the average corporate or remote job posting, they receive about 100 to around about 300 applications. And that's maybe on the low end of applications within the first 24 hours. So just let that sink in for a second. I mean, for popular companies or remote positions, sometimes this can exceed to almost 500 to 1,000 applicants within the first couple of days. So that means in a sea of faces, the kind of the individual, your individual skills, your individual brilliance, it gets diluted until you become just another faceless resume, and you're just being evaluated. There's no trust being built. So it's more like just an evaluation. So that's the first reason why this happens, why that sense of invisibility, or kind of why people are being overlooked. The second reason is, and this is, technology itself is designed to make you invisible. So before a human, sometimes like a recruiter or a hiring manager, or the headhunter, before they actually see your application, it's filtered through an application tracking system, or AI. And that's silently, that's usually designed to eliminate maybe between 70, maybe 80% of resumes based on the criteria that the company have. So you have no insight. The problem with that is you have no insight into what's the actual keywords, what's the actual criteria that the company actually have in mind. What is it that they're actually looking for? So, that's a pretty bad statistic in terms of, based on things, if you go and search for it, maybe between 70, 80% of applicants never ever get through to the second round. So your application isn't even being seen by human eyes. So the third reason, and this is one that a lot of people don't want to talk about, and that is, companies have fundamentally changed how they make people visible in, or kind of in their hiring process. But like I said, no one's actually told a lot of job seekers about it, because the very system that you're trying to use by just sending in a CV, sending in a cover letter, to try and actually become visible, is actually designed to keep most people invisible. Because what happens here is referrals are preferred over job applications. So that's the hidden job market. I don't know if any of you've ever heard about that, but it's the hidden job market. That's where employers or companies, they prefer referrals or a connection over applications. So these were just some of the reasons why that happens. And then like I said, the reality that's changed everything for most of the people out there is most positions between 65 to around about 75, maybe 80% of roles are filled through internal referrals or network connections before they are ever publicly posted. So usually the things that we see on LinkedIn or Glassdoor or some of the job sites out there, a lot of times they've tried to fill that role already with some form of referral or some recruiter to send them a connection. And if they don't get that filled, then they post that. So that's where the hidden job market, that's where the power comes in, if you can access the hidden job market. So the current reality is we're applying to positions where the hiring manager is likely, they've maybe already got like a candidate in mind. So it's like buying a lottery ticket where someone else already knows the winning lottery numbers. So that's the reality. We have to kind of face that. And we've also, I think this is also something that some people have been experiencing, is the remote experience paradox. And that's a pretty frustrating cycle. So that's where people are requesting certain experience levels, like for entry-level jobs, they want 3 to 5 years experience, or they want remote experience, even if you've never worked remotely. So that leaves a lot of job seekers kind of feeling sometimes trapped or doubting their ability to successfully transition to remote work or hybrid work, or just making that career change, despite knowing that they've got the valuable skills, they've got the passion, the drive, the coachability to fill that role. So these are a couple of reasons. And as we kind of go ahead with this, I just want to kind of share a little bit more about kind of my story as well, because this was kind of my breaking point. So this is my son, Liam. So this was in 2019. And I kind of want to kind of share with you the breakthrough that I had, or how it got to this, kind of how it got to a point. And this was, unfortunately, it needed to get to this point when my son was born in 2019. So he was in the hospital, he had like jaundice. So we needed to kind of take him back, give him a little bit of a tan. But despite being on my parental leave, back then I was still in corporate, but they kept calling me, expecting me to handle some of the job duties, even though they knew that I was in hospital with my son. So I couldn't be fully present during one of the most important moments in my life. My wife needed me. I just wanted to kind of be there. It's my firstborn. So I felt like I had no flexibility in my schedule, no control over my career. And like I said, I just wanted to be more present with my family. So that's when I realized I needed to do things differently, and I had to change. And I wanted more control over my schedule and my location. So that's when I began searching for remote work opportunities. But I think, like most people, what happened is I started with the traditional approach. So I spent months, like literally months, perfecting my resume, writing cover letters. And then I went to apply to hundreds of positions online. And I was applying to jobs that I knew that my qualifications, they were in line. So there were matches with these jobs, but I felt like I had the experience, the skills, and like I said, in most cases, like that drive, that passion. But after sending 178 applications over 9 months, so this happened in 2020, also during that period of COVID as well, I received, I think it was only 4 replies with 1 interview and 0 offers, and a ton of those automated rejection emails. So with each passing day of silence, I felt like I was becoming more invisible or more overlooked. And I think, especially as a dad, as a husband, maybe some of you are on here as well. I know some of your stories. Some of you guys have been sharing some of your experience as well. It can be kind of draining, and you kind of feel that personal identity kind of fading away. Because I know for me, sometimes I checked some of the LinkedIn profiles, and I know that this guy, he wasn't as qualified as me, but some of them were kind of celebrating new jobs. And that was really kind of the breaking point for me. Kind of sitting on that roller coaster, that application cycle of doom. and I think it got to a point where it wasn't just frustration anymore. It was like this existential crisis about my professional worth. So that's when I realized I couldn't stay on that cycle of doom, or kind of that application cycle of doom. I needed to do things differently to become more visible. So that's when I kind of had the breakthrough. I said, okay, instead of looking beyond, or kind of just looking at job boards and application portals, I looked at different ways on what could I do to become more visible to the market. So what happened is, I think by chance, I just got to one of the, it was, I think, like a Facebook group or something, and I came across this community of people that they were like digital nomads. So a lot of them were working remotely and for international companies. So they kind of did what I was doing or wanted to do more successfully. But the difference that I saw with most of them was that they found a way to position themselves, to kind of make themselves more valuable and make themselves more kind of visible, instead of being just another resume in a stack. So that was the breakthrough moment, seeing kind of how other people do it and learning from them. And that's when I realized, just on what they did, is employers, like I mentioned earlier, they prefer finding candidates through referrals and targeted outreach. Because for most employers, I mean, some of the statistics, depending on kind of what you look at, if you're a referral, the company is like 5 times more likely to hire someone who comes through a connection than an anonymous application, because there's trust. There's maybe already some form of like or trust or connection that's been built, in comparison to just another kind of anonymous application. So that's when I went from moving away from the old way to focusing on the new way of doing things. I stopped playing by the old rules. This is the kind of the yellow side, the old rules, spending hours customizing resumes and cover letters and submitting applications through impersonal. That's a pretty important word, is the impersonal side of things. Just sending out a CV, just sending out a resume, sending out a cover letter. So I abandoned that. I abandoned all those endless resume submissions that were actually getting me nowhere. So I just kind of focused on a different approach, a totally new approach for me. And within weeks of implementing the new way, focusing on my digital presence, my digital footprint, building strategic relationships, and positioning myself as the solution to the problems of a company. I mean, within weeks, I started getting responses from companies I've been trying to reach for months. And soon I was landing 4 to 5 interviews a week and receiving multiple offers. So it's just kind of doing things differently. It's not rocket science. And I think, like, fast forward to today, I mean, I've been working remotely now for 6 years. This is just one of my Wise accounts. That's the fun part. Sometimes working for US companies, you get paid bi-weekly, not monthly. So that's fun. Every 2 weeks, seeing some of these paychecks come in. And that then puts you in a position where you can work on your terms, kind of work from anywhere, have a lot more flexibility. So the solution, I think that's the question now, is what is the solution? What's the new way? And I want to be clear about this before we get into the solution. I need to be completely honest with you. This approach, this is not for everyone. So if you're looking for like a magic button that's going to land you a job overnight with zero effort, and not think long term, where you actually have the skills so you can get interviews, you can get job offers as kind of for the next 10 years, not just get a quick fix for the next job. It's like getting the skills so you can, for the next 10, 20, 30 years, be in a position where you can kind of develop these skills. So you've got pipeline. So like I said, this isn't for everyone. If you're looking for a magic button, this isn't going to be for you, kind of the new approach. If you're not willing to try something different, if you just want to stay on in kind of the comfortable cycle of sending applications and basing your strategy on hope, so hoping for the best. And also, if you're not prepared to build meaningful connections in the industry, in your industry, maybe, or looking to branch out, it's just meaningful connections, just building a bit more relationships. And then also expecting results without putting in consistent effort. That's pretty important. The word consistency. You can just stick with some of these processes, or just get consistent on a daily basis. I mean, this can make one hell of a big difference. But if you're not at that point in your life, then once again, this is probably not going to be for you. But I guess, I mean, if you're ready to try a proven approach that's been working really well for the last few years, especially in the job market, the remote job market or the hybrid market, then this is absolutely for you. So if you're one of those people that you've been sending hundreds of applications without getting any responses, or you're getting declined and you've been on that application cycle of doom, then this is something that can help you transition from doing that and kind of get off that insanity. And also, if you're maybe at a point where you're looking for your first remote or hybrid role, but you're not sure where or how to start, and you just want to do things right from the start and avoid all the trial and error, then this can work for you. And then also, if you're looking to just make a career change, maybe you're still maybe looking for another in-office job, you just maybe looking to get another one or get backup options, then the principles that you're going to learn in here, it is for you. So the solution is, it's just kind of flipping the process a little bit on its head. So it's a complete reversal of the traditional approach that's going to make you visible. So instead of sending out applications, which disappears. So applications, a CV, a cover letter, that usually disappears in a stack of other applicants, maybe 100, 200, 300 other applicants. So we want to go from sending applications to building connections. So that's going to make you visible, building connections, building relationships. We want to go from chasing opportunities. So chasing opportunities, that's where it's almost like where you're one of many. It's the majority. It's the bulk of the people that's chasing opportunities. We want to go to creating visibility, because with visibility, you're standing, it's almost like you're standing alone, you're differentiated. And we want to go from competing with hundreds, so that's going to dilute your presence, to positioning yourself uniquely, so that's going to amplify your presence. So like I said, this is kind of the old way versus the new way. So this is kind of what I call this is the remote work breakthrough system. It's just a proven framework on helping professionals or kind of people at entry level just go from being invisible applicants to highly visible candidates who get noticed, who get interviews, who get hired without endless application and that crushing silence. So it's just going from spending hours customizing your resume, submitting through impersonal job boards, refreshing your inbox, and getting filtered by AI or screening systems. I mean, this is probably, with where we are now, this is probably just the start of it. When it comes to things like AI and so on, I mean, this is developing on a continuous basis. So we shift to building human-to-human connections. So that's why I'm kind of making ourselves stand out as well. So that's our digital presence to attract people like recruiters instead of chasing them. We want to go to building strategic relationships that's going to create that or give you access to that hidden job market. So that's the insider opportunities and referrals. And we want to position ourselves as the solution to the specific company problems through targeted outreach. So the core philosophy about the remote work breakthrough system, or kind of the process, is hiring is fundamentally built around trust. Okay, so companies, just think about this. If you put yourself in the position of the companies, they need to trust that you can be productive. They need to trust that you can be communicative. They need to trust that you can be reliable without supervision constantly. They need to trust that you can solve their problems, because that is how we need to see ourselves as well in the job market. We are problem solvers. We're almost like our own little CEO within another company. And what I mean by that is, whether you're doing data entry, or you're an accountant, or you're in engineering or sales or marketing, whatever it is, we bring a specific solution to that company, because the CEO they want to delegate. They want, for the company to grow, they need reliable, trustworthy people. So we bring that solution to the table. But that's the focus that we need to shift towards, is building trust. Because with traditional applications, you cannot build trust. It's just a piece of paper. There's no relationship. And like I said, relationships are kind of built, and kind of we have to kind of shift to building relationships and demonstrating capabilities. That's going to build trust. So the question now becomes, yeah, how do we build that trust? How do we become visible? Because through trust, that creates that visibility. So there's a couple of ways. There's going to be 4 steps. You've probably heard me talk about this a lot, also on some of my other platforms and some of my emails that I've been sending out. The 4 steps to create that trust is, first off, we need to understand where we are. You need to understand what's your foundation. So understanding your starting point, I'm going to go a little bit more deeper into this now, but we need to understand kind of what's your starting point. Maybe do a bit of a skills assessment, understand your remote work readiness, those kind of things. Just the baseline. It's not to judge and say we can do this or we cannot do this. It's just to get a baseline understanding. Then the fun starts. And this is where we have to craft a professional identity that's compelling, that you cannot be overlooked. So that's where the attraction comes in. You attract instead of chase. So that is crafting your remote work or your hybrid work or your different industry kind of identity. And then you shift to focusing on strategic visibility, like amplifying that. So that is placing yourself directly in the line of sight of decision makers. So you actually go to them. And then also your targeted problem solving. So that's positioning yourself as the solution to specific company problems. So like I said, I'm going to run through this real quick. First, you need a baseline understanding of your starting point. So basically, just assess your current skills, identify which are transferable to maybe remote work, and then evaluate your remote work readiness, and then gain an understanding on kind of the key digital tools that maybe a remote professional or your new kind of positions would probably kind of require you to just gain an understanding or maybe master. And then you take that and you try kind of convert your traditional work experience into the remote relevant kind of accomplishments. So, I mean, even without formal remote experience, you likely have plenty of evidence of remote capabilities, or there's certain things in your background that you can translate to your new positions or to the ideal positions. Okay, now, like I said, this is where the fun starts. You must create and optimize your professional identity for remote work. So this is going to focus on things like shifting away from spending hours, just becoming more efficient. What I mean by becoming more efficient in your resumes and your process, so your resumes and cover letters, we need to do that have the tools, have the resources to do that and customize that literally within minutes, not days. Because that is one of the probability of just sending in a resume, sending in a cover letter. If that's all we do, if that's the only strategy, then usually that is going to be the probability of landing in our ideal role or position is very low, because we're competing with numbers. So we need to just make sure that we can kind of speed up the process with this. But this is the important part, is building a magnetic LinkedIn profile that's going to attract recruiters instead of chasing them away, or headhunters or hiring managers. So that is super important in terms of having a presence that's going to kind of put yourself head above water, or kind of put yourself in front of the line. So that's why I say optimizing your online presence to showcase your remote relevant skills, and then focusing on developing your unique value proposition that's going to differentiate you from competitors. Because there's a lot of people reaching out to me at the moment for becoming an executive assistant or a virtual assistant or doing data entry, or and asking me to help them kind of optimize everything. So we need to understand we're going after the same positions, but we can differentiate ourselves because we've got different personalities, we've got different experiences. So there's a way to fill these roles and just put yourself in a different light. Because everyone's probably going to have some form of ATS friendly resume that they're sending in with a keyword optimized cover letter, which obviously, yes, I help you with kind of do that as well, but everyone's doing that. So how do we differentiate ourselves? And this is where it comes in. So your strategic visibility, just going to run through this quickly as well, because this can be a game changer. Instead of hoping your application gets seen, learning how to create that strategic visibility, you become visible to the right people at the right time as well. So to do that, you need to focus on just building meaningful connections with decision makers or influencers. That's like recruiters and so on. You need to identify the right connections at target companies. So if you're looking to become or get into a sales position, or if you're looking to maybe get into engineering or an IT position or whatever it is, it would make more sense, instead of connecting with the CEO of a company with 5,000 employees, it doesn't make sense to connect with the CEO. Probably you're going to be looking to connect with in some form of other way with maybe people that are at your same level, or maybe with people that's doing the hiring, the HR departments. So that's what I mean by identifying the right connections, going after the right connections, and then learning how to kind of convert those connections to referrals naturally without seeming desperate or kind of pushy. So that's, once again, that's where your digital platforms comes in to kind of amplify your visibility. And that's then also going to put you in a position where you can find unlisted positions. That's the hidden job market. And I know, I mean, you'll see with this system, well, once you get good at this, I mean, one of the students that I worked with last year, it put her in a position where I think there was about 450 applicants, but just because her resume was handed directly to the hiring manager with a personal recommendation, that put her in front of the line. And yeah, she was able to kind of land that interview pretty easily. So this is then where we're going to be looking at step 4, and that's your targeted problem solving. So real quick, you just need to understand how to identify specific challenges your target kind of companies are facing and position you as the solution. So that's where the mini solutions come in, kind of how you think, your capabilities. Those are really cool ways to kind of differentiate yourself. And then, like I said, present yourself as the problem solver rather than just another candidate just disappearing into the void. So we need to create conversations instead of application submitters. So be a relationship builder in comparison to an application submitter. So and stand out with a value first approach. So learn how to kind of add value to your network or a hiring manager or a recruiter, so they can't ignore you. And there's really simple ways you do that. It's either through you don't need to like send them anything. Could sometimes just be engaging with their content, sharing their content, or it could be sending them just a thoughtful message. Thank you for sharing that. And then also elaborating a little bit more on kind of why that stood out to you, or maybe adding your own perspective to it as well. So there's like really cool ways to stand out in a digital way where you don't have to be there face to face. But by mastering these 4 steps, you can create a completely different job search experience. It's going to be an experience where opportunities come to you, where you're evaluated on your actual capabilities rather than keywords or just your resume, and where you actually build a sustainable, because that's the important thing for me here, is to kind of showcase and learn people and kind of teach people how to build a sustainable network for long-term career growth. Because like I said, there's going to be massive changes in the next 4 or 5 years. I mean, a guy like Elon Musk, I think it's by 2029. I can't remember exactly what some of the statistics were in terms of the impact that AI is going to have on job markets. So that's where human-to-human interaction and connections is going to become so vital for our long-term career growth. So yes, we need to learn how to use AI. Yes, that is pretty important. But then also kind of how to kind of build that sustainable network of people that can refer us, or we've got hidden job market, or kind of get access to the hidden job market. So this is like a case study. This is like with Marianne, because this is one of the case studies that I really enjoy sharing, because she went in with a career change. She was going from teaching to digital marketing, and one of the major shifts that she had within, I think, 3 weeks after implementing the LinkedIn optimization strategies, a recruiter reached out to her directly about a position. She didn't even apply for that. And now she's been working remotely for a couple of months already. Now, just to kind of showcase what she did. So the steps were, she just restructured her LinkedIn profile to make her unique value impossible to overlook. even though she didn't have all that experience, her background or some of her experience in previous projects as a teacher, she just found a way to translate that to remote work or hybrid work. So then she also just created a bit of content that made her expertise in marketing and analytics highly visible to the target audience, its marketing companies. And then she also just connected with 20 professionals at target companies, making herself visible to insider networks. So that's where you get access to some of the hidden job markets. And I think, yeah, within 3 weeks after implementing the LinkedIn strategies, the recruiter reached out to her about her ideal role. So there you go. It doesn't need to take long. If you just kind of become a human being and not seem desperate, and just kind of reach out asking for jobs, if you just put a little bit of effort in, just do things a little bit differently, things can change quite substantially. And here's Godfrey as well. He was a graduate, so didn't have a lot of experience. But just through updating his resume, making sure everything's ATS optimized, and then focusing more on just building meaningful connections, just adding value, building meaningful connections. That's in where I think he was kind of on that application cycle of doom. And now he's also working remotely. I think he is like a marketing assistant. And to Lonnie as well. She just she was one of the lucky ones. She just made sure her resume was ATS optimized, so application tracking friendly, or application tracking system, or AI friendly, and she got through with, I think, within a couple of days or a couple of weeks. And yeah, now she's also kind of working remotely. So just sometimes just making some tweaks can make a big difference sometimes. And then Gary, he's like very introverted when we work together, but just doing some digital outreach, you don't have to always be there in person. He got, like, I think it was 2 referrals within a month, as he kind of shifted to doing things remotely. I think he's a project coordinator. So as for me, I mean, when I also started kind of implementing this, I went from struggling with my job search for months, like I mentioned, in 2020, to, I think it was about 3 like really good, like premium remote job offers in just 3 weeks using the exact same system. So now, yeah, you can work on your own terms. You can work from anywhere. You've got that flexibility. And I think for most of us, this isn't just about finding a job. It's about, and it's, for me, it's about complete freedom to design your work around your life instead of the other way around. Hence, I think the whole concept of leaving a legacy, or living a life on your terms, or leaving a legacy on your terms, that's where it basically stems from. So yeah, been talking a lot. Getting closer now to the end. So I think we have to understand, we now have a choice. Based on everything you've seen here, I mean, you can continue with the traditional job approach. The worst strategy for anyone to have is have no strategy or do nothing. Like, that is like the worst thing you can do. So that's why I say, if you just want to continue with the traditional approach, like sending applications into the void, feeling increasingly invisible and frustrated, and hoping that eventually something turns out, or base your strategy on hope, then you can do that. Or you can take some of the steps, some of the ideas and principles I shared, and implement that through testing things out and figuring it out as you go. Or you can implement a proven system to create visibility, building meaningful connections, and position yourself effectively for remote positions, or your hybrid positions, whatever it is that you're looking for. So for those of you that want to accelerate this process, I've created the complete remote work breakthrough system, the mini course. So I've taken the last 16 years of my corporate and remote work experience and put all of that expertise into a comprehensive 3.5-hour video course. So it's 3.5 hours of video content that I teach you, kind of share what I can. You've got all the guides, all the templates, all the scripts, all the blueprints, everything that I've been using to reach out to people, to build connections, everything within the remote work breakthrough system, and then also lifetime access and any future updates. So you've got lifetime access to all of this, because the job market is going to change. So I need to change with the times as well. And this is going to be broken into 4 modules. So if you want to accelerate this kind of the process, kind of implement instead of going and figure things out on your own, then I'm going to make you an offer now. So just be aware of that. So the remote work breakthrough system, it's going to focus on 4 areas. So you're going to have module 1. It's going to focus on your foundation. So that's identifying your remote work skills, converting your skills and experience into remote relevant accomplishments, and how to master some of the tools in terms of the digital side of things for remote work, and then also establishing your remote work readiness. And then module 2, this is where the fun starts, where you start creating your kind of learn how to use the tools out there to create and customize your resumes and cover letters within 5 to 10 minutes, so you don't have to waste time on that. And then I teach you the fun part. It's learning to build your LinkedIn profile. If you stick around, I'm not sure. I'll see if Palesa is still on here. We probably might be doing a little bit of a LinkedIn audit as well. But yeah, that's where the magic can happen, having that magnetic LinkedIn profile. And then optimizing your online presence. So I show you how to do all this, and then position yourself as remote ready in some cases for those that don't have all the experience. And then module 3, that's going to cover your job search strategies. Why mass applications prevent you from standing out, how to identify red flags in remote job postings, and then setting up your job alerts to save like a lot of time on manual searching, and then also how to become or be some of the first applicants for fresh opportunities. And then the final module, or the biggest module, is module 4. That's where I'm going to show you exactly how to build a network that's going to create opportunities, find these unlisted remote opportunities, the hidden job market, and then also how to kind of how to kind of build meaningful connections. So these are the message templates to job posters, to recruiters, how to engage meaningfully with your professional network, so you can start kind of differentiating yourself and stand out and attract more opportunities. So, I mean, that's not all. Like I said, if you kind of get started with the remote work breakthrough system today, you'll receive all the valuable bonuses. This is in dollars. I know for most of you, you're South Africans on here today. These are, I mean, people can buy them separately, but I wouldn't recommend it. But you've got the cover letter builders, the ATS friendly resume. So this is like these templates that you can actually use or just kind of model. I currently have about 7 of them in there in the remote work breakthrough system. You've got outreach messages, like the templates, how to reach out to recruiters, job alert setup guides, your optimization blueprints for LinkedIn or Facebook, and then integrating your strategic network with your job search. So that's the ultimate blueprint, the big one. And then how to create content without needing to be an influencer or a content creator. It's just giving you ideas so you can start standing out. And then meaningful engagement, how to meaningfully engage and build really good relationships without seeming needy or desperate or pushy. So you get all of that. So you also get access, because obviously if you get to the point where you start landing interviews, or you get across and put yourself in front of the whole line, you're probably going to be landing some interviews. So you also get access to the interview success pack. So this is where I show you how to create professional interview videos for recruiters or hiring managers, and then also how to prepare for some of these virtual interviews. And then the fun one is 100 interview question and answers, like scripts and templates. So what's the question? How can you possibly respond to that? How to reverse some questions, or ask clarifying questions, so you can take a little bit more control of the interview as well. And then also, you wouldn't believe how simple things like a pre-interview communication can be, like sending out an email that you are excited about the upcoming interview, and just taking that little extra step. You wouldn't believe how much that can mean to the hiring manager, or how much that can distinguish you from the other applicants. So something as simple as pre-interview and follow-up communication, just doing that more professionally. And once again, all of this is going to be within 30 minutes of additional training and various interview phase topics. So you get all of that. That's about $350 in additional value when you do enroll today. And if you're enrolled before Sunday, so Sunday, 18 May, so I'm just going to put that in there. It's about, Sunday, 18th of May. If you do enroll before Sunday, I'm also going to, because I do have some openings at the moment on my calendar, so that's when I'll also personally review your LinkedIn profile. So these spots fill really fast. Obviously, I've only got 24 hours in a day. I cannot help everyone. But this is then where once you're ready and you ask me, then I can review your LinkedIn profile. But obviously that is only if you enroll before Sunday, the 18th. So yeah, initially I wanted to, you've probably seen most of you already. Initially when most of the students that I worked with last year, the year before, it was originally priced at $97. But I mean, I want to help more people. So I'm making it available. It's just $27. So currently, depending on the exchange rate, it's just under around, or let's say around about 500 South African Rand. So like I said, the reason I do this, I just want to help as many people break free from the traditional cycle, kind of the traditional job search cycle that keeps them invisible. Because I've seen a lot of people, a lot of us are stuck, feeling frustrated. We need a lifeline. So yeah, just trying to give as much value as possible at the lowest investment to make it actually viable. So for those of you, the next steps, if you want, you can ask me. I'm going to open the floor now for some Q&A as well, if you maybe have some questions. But to get started, simply go to this link. Let me just drop that in the comments as well. I'm going to drop it here in the comments. You can just go and have a look there. It's going to take you to the checkout page, checkout page, and yeah, there you go. Then you got it, it's going to take this, it's going to have this little brief checkout form, and then once you do that, you gain immediate access. If not, please reach out to me per email, and then you can start implementing the system immediately or today. And I think also, as we kind of get into the Q&A side of things, I do love a little bit more of the inspiration side of things. Hello, Kokanyu. Nice, thank you. Making some notes here for me. But I think the big question that I usually have for a lot of people is, I mean, do you believe that you're worth more than you're earning right now? And the reason I'm asking this is because, like I said, I believe there's greatness in all of us. I mean, the person you are today is probably not going to be, hopefully not going to be the same person that in the next 3 months or the next 12 months or the next 5 years. And I do believe that there's like greatness in all of us. It's just a matter of how willing are you to kind of sometimes do what's necessary to tap into that greatness and become that better version of ourselves. Maybe that is looking for another job. Maybe that is not doing anything today. Maybe that could be just working on relationships or working on your mindset or doing something differently. It doesn't, this isn't the end all and be all. But if your answer is yes, in terms of if you believe that you're worth more, then I'm going to ask, I mean, how much longer are you willing to kind of stay invisible or kind of not get to the point that you want to get to? How much longer are you willing to let overwhelm and uncertainty keep you stuck? So once again, if you're at a point where you're looking for change, go click that button, click the link, and just take your first step towards getting the work and the lifestyle that you deserve. So that's it from my end. Let's have a look. I'm going to open the floor now for some questions. So if you have any questions around the remote work breakthrough system or anything else you want me to elaborate on, I'm more than happy to do that. I'm just going to, where is my chat? So share chat. No worries, Kokana. All good. And let's see. Nkobele, okay. I see you raised
Hi.
your hand. Yes, okay, cool.
Yeah,
There we go.
yes, I did. How's everyone doing?
I think if they
Okay.
weren't muted, they'd say muted. Hopefully,
Am I muted? Oh, can you guys hear me
no,
now?
no, yeah, we can hear you. But I think the other people
Okay.
are muted. Yeah.
All right, awesome. What I wanted to ask was because I am kind of transitioning. I did study biochemistry, so now I just want to transition into tech. So I've taken a few courses. Someone had recommended I update my LinkedIn and just, throughout that whole journey to increase visibility. Is that a thing or yeah.
Is that a thing? So meaning that if
Yeah.
in terms, or are you asking
Is that
about
is
visibility
that
and stepping out and updating your LinkedIn profile?
yeah, like in terms of just, updating everyone on just like my, my journey into, because like I said, I'm transitioned from, life sciences into tech. So, I've been doing a couple of courses. So,
Yeah.
someone had suggested that, constantly keep updating my profile in terms of how far I am and what I've accomplished, during that module at that time, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, I think that's sensible. That is that's pretty cool. That's I would definitely recommend that because that is creating that visibility. I just want to make sure in terms of your connections, the people that you're connected with on LinkedIn, I mean, are they currently just like previous employers or friends and family, or are they actually people that could open a door for you to a potential opportunity out there, or referral, or I guess.
Well, it's mostly people that I went to, school with, some of my alumni, some I've met, some I've never met ever in my life. So, and like I said, my LinkedIn it's actually been pretty dry, if you will, up until recently, where I'm just slowly building it.
Yeah, yeah, but that is sensible. Let me kind of have a look here. I asked her earlier today. I'm not sure, I can't see everyone at the moment on my feed here, on
Mm-hmm.
the Zoom feed. But I just want to have a look here real quick. So she's currently in the remote work breakthrough system. So
Mm-hmm.
her name is Palesa. And I asked if we could use her LinkedIn profile as a bit of a taste.
Okay.
Um, so the main thing that I would recommend for you, Nkobile, is be more strategic with your connections. Because I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if if you feel like some of the friends and previous connections they have the ability to maybe open a door for you, then yes, um, yeah, maybe build those or kind of keep those connections.
All right.
But what I would always recommend is be more, we need to build those strategic relationships. So if you're going into tech,
Mm-hmm.
do you currently have any specific companies that you have in mind, or any specific tech roles, or anything that you have in mind, or that you're going to be focusing on?
Well, mainly data science and obviously with my life sciences background, I was thinking bioinformatics, you know.
Okay. Well, I mean, some of those, like the data science, the data science, and I mean that is like IT and tech. It is a
Mhm.
really good remote role. I'm not sure if you're looking for remote roles, or are you looking for hybrid roles, or you're still in office.
Um,
Did you just looking for in office jobs?
both remote and
Oh, you're
hybrid.
open. Both. Okay,
Yeah.
so you're going to be open to both. Okay, cool. So that is going to give you a lot of options. But yes, once again, I would recommend you now start focusing on becoming more strategic, focusing on or
Mm.
kind of doing your research in terms of some of the companies out there that are hiring in terms of remote work. But you've probably done that. I don't know. Have you done that already or not?
I have, I've got a few. I've got a few in mind. Yes. I
Okay.
just need to do a little more research on them, but yes, I've got a few in mind.
Okay.
But
And in terms,
preferably, I
yeah.
prefer startups because it's a lot easier to build relationships. When the company is still small.
Yes, it is. And
Mm,
then you be sure to continuously. I'm always going to, especially with startups, I'm always going to recommend like ABI, always be interviewing. And the reason for
mm,
that is just keep your pipeline full. Just make sure you've got your pipeline of various opportunities, because with some of the startups, things can change very quickly overnight.
mm,
And I'm speaking from experience as well. It happened with me with quite a few. Sometimes the guys at the top, they just change something, or something happens. So just keep that pipeline full. And then in terms of recruiters and hiring managers, have you been connecting with them?
Yes, I have, on and off. There's one in particular. I feel like he's got a bit of an attitude, but we do communicate on occasion, like every once in a while. It's just, he's a bit intimidating. So I can't really read him.
Is intimidating how? In what way?
I don't know, like he'll just you'll send, you'd send an email inquiring about a particular position, that's been advertised. Sometimes he'll answer you nicely, and then on those days he'll just say, well, this is not a viable workflow. I don't know what you want me to do, so sometimes, like I say, he can be a bit intimidating. So
That's
yeah.
that sounds weird. What does that
I
mean?
know, right? I'm not too sure. Like he's very, one minute he's very welcoming, so I could inquire about something now, and he'll be very welcoming and he'll be happy to help. And then maybe I'll inquire about maybe another position, maybe a few months down the line, and he'll be very standoffish and very just, dismissive.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, why do you think that is?
I don't know.
Okay.
I really
Well,
don't know.
the reason I posted about this today, actually, I sent out a newsletter today about this. When it comes to recruiters, I think the truth about recruiters is we have to be very careful and approach those relationships with care, because it's like you said, you reach out to him like maybe now and maybe a couple of months later, so that the relationship is very transactional, and that is how like 99% of people out there treat them.
Mm,
It's a very transactional relationship. Whereas if you can actually start building a bit more relationship, maybe adding a bit more
mm,
value to their network. Now, I would maybe do that is probably just sometimes share some or just comment on their posts. It
mm,
doesn't need to be like teary eyed. It can just be thank you for sharing this. This meant a lot, or maybe or you can share some of his posts, or you can just reach out and say, okay, listen, I found this article about that's probably relevant. Just thought I'd share it with you. Just kind of keep
mm,
relevance.
mm.
So you can kind of also show up in his feed continuously
Okay.
as you're updating your kind of your progress and your journey. Then you can kind of show up a
Okay.
little bit more on his feed as well. But once again,
Oh,
that's just
awesome.
an easy way to just kind of distinguish yourself, because I'm going to presume that 99% of people are currently kind of sending the same messages like, I saw
Yeah.
that you posted this, I've found what you were looking for, or I'm interested,
Mm,
something like that. So, and that
mm.
could be not the best way to kind of maintain or build a relationship.
All right. Awesome. Thanks.
Okay, cool. Anything else
Okay.
in Kwili?
No, nothing for now, Marcel. Thank you so much.
Okay, no, thanks for being here. I see we've got a question. I think it was from Joan Fenter. How do you determine when a remote job is real or scam? So it's pretty, I think there's a couple of criteria that I usually kind of go through, or just and it's not set in stone, but for me, it's sometimes just looking at doing my research, doing my due diligence on the company. So if it's a very vague or a very short um, job, what do you call it, like post, then I would probably be very skeptical or be very wary if they it's very vague. So they don't give you a good overview in terms of the responsibilities, the requirements, those kind of things. And then also in terms of another kind of red flag, in terms of a job scam, if I just go and do my due diligence, like I go to their website, I go to their LinkedIn profile, just see do they have active members on LinkedIn, and just kind of go do a little bit of their social or their digital media footprint, like just going to have a look. So if there are any red flags around that, then I would probably be pretty wary or pretty skeptical. And then also, when it comes to remote jobs, and this is now more so focused on some of the people that call themselves recruiters. that say you need to pay for placement, or they talk about guaranteed placement. So that's more from a recruitment or some kind of hiring companies. So that is like a no-go for me. If they say guaranteed placement or pay for placement, because the reason for that is, with a legitimate recruiter, the company is going to be responsible for paying their recruitment fee. So the employee or the potential employee, they never have to pay for placement or anything like that. So those are just a couple of ones that you can be on the lookout for. But I'm always just not to waste time. I always say, okay, yeah, reach out and try and build a connection and see if it's a real person that actually posted the job. Otherwise, just move on to the next one if the spidey senses are tingling. So hopefully that helps. Let's see what else we have in here. Hey, I saw James, so I think the question you had is, so how much is the completed course in rands? So that's about, I think with the current exchange rate, that's about 500, around about 500, 510 or 490 rand, depending on the exchange rate. Wait, oh goodness, that's nice. We've got a little bit of load shedding here. So let's just get that on. Chantel, cool, welcome. That's pretty cool to hear. Welcome. I'm excited to see you on the inside. Then Palesa, yeah, that's you. So Palesa, I'm going to dive into your LinkedIn profile probably now as well. And then we've got Rikas. Oh, nice. Welcome to you as well. It's good to have you here. We've got a question here from Anu van Heerden. What is your opinion on having an Upwork profile? I don't know. It depends, probably. I've never considered that. So that's probably going to be dependent on, I guess, what you do. So are you going to be freelancing? So in my personally, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be worth it. I'd rather focus a little bit more on ways that I can actively build connections. So that's probably where I'm going to, if you can do some networking, if you can do some outreach on Upwork, I've never looked into that, then you can maybe do that. Otherwise, I'm just going to focus on things like Facebook or LinkedIn, where I can build my professional network as well. Okay, Anele, yeah, thank you. Perfect. Rikas, I have only one qualification in one specific field. However, I gained a lot of experience in a lot of other fields and responsibilities. I will be able to take, yeah, that's cool. Those experiences, that's kind of usually sometimes what a lot of companies hire for, depending on kind of what the role is. But we have to remember that sometimes they're looking for culture fit. They're willing to invest into a person that's going to stick with him over the long term. So they're willing to invest into some of their kind of development as well. So they're looking for things like coachability, kind of team spirit. Are you going to be working well within a team, and so on? And are you going to be trustworthy? Okay, so let's see. Zenobia. Oh, cool. Okay, cool. Welcome. Welcome. And I appreciate everyone that's joining. And if you've still got any questions, any concerns, you're welcome. You can email me. Otherwise, like I said, for those that have joined, it's going to be cool. We're going to be, like I said, going to be reviewing your LinkedIn profile as well. Once you've gone through the training, you've implemented, then we review and kind of tweak where we need to. And then let's see if we still, there we go. Okay, Palesa, I see you're still here. So for those of you that are still here, I think the important thing is when it comes to our LinkedIn profiles, just kind of, if we kind of go down this rabbit hole real quick. There's a couple of, you'll see within the remote work breakthrough system as well, kind of I share more on how you can optimize this all through, once again, just using the necessary tools and resources out there to kind of really give you the kind of the know-how to kind of position yourself differently. So Palesa, what I do like, since we started talking last week or the week before, at least you've got a profile pic now. So what I would recommend in terms of your profile picture, you've got a nice smile. what I would recommend, if you can just make it a little bit more professional in terms of your background. So maybe at work, if it can be a neutral, if it can be like a neutral background, maybe a white, or once again, just a neutral background where, I mean, you look really professional. You look really nice. So that's small, that's nice and open. So people, when they see this, they're going to say, okay, yeah, you want to become an executive assistant. So you're probably going to be sometimes facing some of my clients or working with people within my network. So yes, this seems nice. She seems like an approachable person. So yes, that is a good start. So I'd maybe recommend, if you can, just look at your profile picture to make it a little bit more just neutral, the background. What I do also recommend is just your background, this banner, this beside, or let's say behind. If you can just update your banner as well, and it doesn't need to be anything fancy. Just go to, I think I do mention that within the training as well, go to Canva. And just play around. Maybe put in, for a start, maybe just put in a couple of colors, but not have the LinkedIn background. And then let's have a look. What else can we look at in here as well? Let's see. I think in terms of your connections, yeah, I think you've got a bit of a way to go there. Kind of starting your networking, but you say you've been getting some responses from the recruiters. I'm just going to see. Oh, cool. Yeah, thanks for the endorsement, Palisa. Appreciate it. But you've been getting responses. That's good. And that's been just by you sending out some resumes and so on. So that's cool. But yeah, this is I think this is the fun part about this for some people, is like Palisa, it's like you're starting brand new. When I did this, I had like 3,000 connections, and it was like not my ideal, the people that I actually wanted to be connected with. That's going to open the doors for me. So this is pretty cool. You can basically start from scratch. So that's fun. So this is going to be pretty cool in terms of kind of doing your outreach, and kind of, yeah, building your ideal network. So I think that can be a priority, is growing. I mean, if you can start growing your network maybe to about 200, 300 people, so that's maybe about 5 people that you reach out to each day, or just Mondays to Fridays, just reach out to maybe 3 or 4 or 5 people. Just reach out, and start doing a bit of research, maybe on the recruiters or some of the companies that you might be interested in. But you start reaching out to some of those people, the hiring managers, maybe some of your peers, same executive assistants as well. That's a pretty cool one to network with as well. And then you can also, what I do love about your LinkedIn profile is your about section. I think you implemented some of the training that I gave through as well. I do like it. It's like you're talking about it's almost like your experience. It's me, that's cool. You don't want to talk in the third person. That's weird. So that's really good. And then you're talking about some actual numbers here. You've got some really good kind of keywords, I think, in here as well. So I think this is a good one. You've got a good call to action as well. You're currently seeking executive opportunities. Yeah. I'll go and think about this one in terms of your. I think we'll kind of have a think about it. I'll give you some feedback. Yeah, I'll give you some feedback on that. In terms of currently seeking executive assistant opportunities. Okay, I'll think about that. Give you some feedback. What you can then also do is, you're welcome. You can ask me. I'll give you some endorsements as well. We can just kind of spice a few things up here. So you can ask people maybe for some endorsements, and then maybe your skills. We can just maybe boost that a little bit in terms of your skills. So, but I see you already did some good ones in here. But yeah, we can boost this a lot. So we can work on that with you as well. So there's a couple of things that we can kind of update for you in here. I think also in terms of your experience, and then we'll probably, yeah, that's good. You did this pretty good. And then also your certifications. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And I think the next part, and this is going to be a pretty important part, is just kind of creating a bit more content. That is creating a little bit more content that's once again going to showcase maybe the way that you think. So it can be about your thought processes, maybe just about things like being coachable, those kind of things. But once again, that's in the training as well. So creating a bit more posts, maybe just one a week. So that creates relevancy, frequency. So that's going to help as well. So it's going to show people that you're active on LinkedIn. But yeah, like I said, I think there's a couple of things that you can still work on, but I'll give you more feedback on that. But so far, good start. And you've got a nice little, almost like blank slate here that you're going to be able to kind of just launch yourself from. Okay, so yeah, there we go. I don't think there's anyone else. Any other questions? Anything else? Anything else? I think, where's the chat? There's the chat. Okay, so there we go. I think, like I said, I think I want to just show my appreciation. I really do appreciate everyone that's been on here. Kiani, it's been a pleasure. So if you have any more questions, like I said, I've got open door policy. Welcome to reach out to me per email. And then I'll see where I can help and assist you as best I can. Obviously, people within the remote breakthrough community and the system, they do get preferential kind of treatment. But like I said, if you need anything else, just let me know. Otherwise, good luck, hang in there, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.